So today we're going to do brows. Not mine.
Hi everyone. So thank you for purchasing the brow tinting kit. As you can see, my brows are actually freshly tinted because I just filmed all of this and realized it wasn't recording. Great. So I'm going to do it again for you. But anyway, so my brows weren't tinted, they were very gappy, but unfortunately I now have to wait a couple of weeks until the tints come off. But I'm going to go through it again, show you step by step how to use your tinting kit, which you should have in front of you. There's just a couple of things that will help you tint your brows that you may need. You don't have to have them, but you may want to use them. I'm going to use them in the video just to show you. It's mainly if you're extra cautious or a bit nervous about maybe tinting your skin or anything like that. It's probably good to have it just to safeguard yourself so that you're not getting tint everywhere and it's staining on your face. So you can use a pawpaw cream, you can use a Vaseline, you can use the Panther Nappy Rash, that's what I'm using today. So any one of those things is great. You only need a real small amount. So if you want to go grab that now, that would be great. And the other thing you need is just a jar with some water, okay? That's going to be to remove your tint at the end. Okay, so in your kit you'll have your activator and your colour. You can see mine's already mixed around. This is what I was using in the first video that wasn't being recorded. But anyway. You'll notice that the activator, it doesn't look like there's a lot in there. You don't need a lot. I've literally put 3 times the amount of what you need. So just pour the whole thing in with the colour, stir it around. But yeah, you only really need a couple of drops of it in your tint, in your colour when it's activated. Once you've combined the activator and the colour together, it stays active for 20 minutes. So just keep that in mind, that I want you to mix them when you're ready to use it, okay? I don't want you to, mix it and leave it and go do something and come back. Mix it and activate the colour when you're ready to apply. Okay, so we're going to start with your brow brush. Now, I do brush my brows a lot. Like I said, unfortunately my brows aren't as patchy as what they were looking. They look quite good now because they've been tinted. But I'm going to do it all over again. So I want you to start off with brushing your brows in the direction of how you'd like your brow shaped. So you can never brush your brows too much. And especially if you get on the ends of mine, they need trimming at the moment, but on the ends, especially if you haven't had them waxed or trimmed for a while, with salons being closed at the moment, sometimes people's brows on the ends, they get quite curly, they're quite long, so really try and tame them and brush them in the way that you'd like them to sit. Okay. Now, before you start, if you don't have to do this, but if you are quite cautious, a bit nervous about getting some tint on your skin or anything like that, this is where you're going to use your Vaseline, your pawpaw cream, or your Nappy Rash, whatever you want to use. You only need a small amount. Literally just grabbing a really small amount. I put everything on the back of my hand. And all I want you to do is just glide the cream away from your brow shape. You're just doing on the outer distance. Do not put it on your hair. It will cause as a barrier and not colour. So you want to do it a pretty good distance away. It's just for extra precaution in case you make a big mess, which you won't, it's pretty easy. So make sure, even if you've got really fair hair, if you've got really blonde eyebrows, do not put the cream too close to your brows. Do it, a good distance away. so that you can colour all those blonde ones that are sparse around your shape to make your brows look fuller. okay? So once you've done that, you're going to grab your color and your activator, and you're going to pour the activator into the color. The best way to do it is using your cotton tip. Just gather it around and pop it in there. Give it a good stir. Okay. I do feel much better now than my brows, even though I didn't record that one. Anyway. Okay, so once you've stirred the color, one thing I want to let you know is the color's going to look quite dark when you first get it. Now, the reason why I'm doing exactly how I made up a kit for myself, so I could use exactly what you guys have in front of you instead of using the tube. Now, when it initially comes out of the tube, it is slightly lighter, even the natural brown. Your tint's going to look quite dark. Even if you ask for a natural brown, the tint might look like a dark brown. Now, it's fine, it's just because it's oxidized on the outside. Once you start to stir it around and you add the activator, you'll see the lighter shade of brown through it. So it's totally fine. If anything, it tints your brows a little bit quicker, so you don't have to leave them on for long at all. Mind you, this tint that I use is called Reflector, so it is a professional tint. It tints quite quickly. You don't need to be leaving this color on your brows for 10 minutes. 2-3 minutes max, take it off. It tints quite quickly. Even if you like your brows quite dark, 3 minutes, plenty of time, take it off. Okay, so you don't need to walk around with your tint on. I would stay in front of the sink, in front of the mirror through this whole process. Don't leave the tint on and walk around and come back. It will tint quite quickly. Obviously, if you don't have as much hair as mine, like my brows are quite thick. If you have very sparse hair, if your hair's quite fine, and you really want to make your brows quite thick and defined, a little bit longer is better, okay? So I'll let you know when to take that off. So you're going to grab your tint and you're going to be quite generous with it. Don't be sparse, like really place it on your brows. My brows are going to be extra dark because I'm doing this twice, but that's okay. I like dark brows. So you're going to place it all over your brows. Now don't be too cautious with it. Chuck it on all the way down. Try and do it in the shape of your brow. Once you've done that, I want you to straight away get a cotton tip, just wet it, and I want you to tidy it up as quickly as possible. Okay, so just make sure that you've got no tint everywhere. It's definitely in the shape of what you're trying to achieve. Once I've applied tint on this brow, I apply on the next brow. Now there's probably going to be quite a lot. You don't have to use all of it. If you want to, you can. It's good to leave a little bit in there if you can, just because if you wipe them off a bit sooner and you want to reapply in certain areas that didn't grab as quickly, you got a bit of tint there to add it on extra. Well, this is actually still the same pot as I used with the first video that didn't become a video, and I'm now got enough to do my brows twice. Yeah, so the only thing is it's just something that you can't really save. Like you couldn't put it away and tint them in 3 weeks because, like I said, once the activator's in the color, it stops. It stops coloring within half an hour. Okay, so you can see it's a bit messy up there. It's totally fine. I get my clean cotton tip, just glide it, clean around it, so it's not super messy. Make it as neat as possible. Make sure you put lots of tint in the areas where you feel that are patchy and you want to cover. Don't be too cautious. It's meant to look super thick. It's gonna look dark. It's gonna look a little bit messy. It's fine. It's not gonna stay that way. In the meantime, I don't like to leave my tint on for long. Plus I've also tinted my brows prior to this video, like I keep mentioning. But once my brows are on, once my tint's on, I like to remove it like within a minute. I literally leave my tint on for a minute. I don't like my brows overly dark. I like them to look as natural as possible, but I don't walk around with them for 3 minutes. I literally put it on, take it off. So I'm going to put my cotton ground in some water and wring it out so that it's super damp and not dripping. And then I'm literally nice and firmly wiping the tint off my brows. I suggest for you guys to leave this on at least a minute. If you like them dark, 2 minutes, a little bit longer, but not much longer than that. If you have tattooing in your brows, if you've done tattooing before and the tattoos really fade, I know a few of you guys, about 15 packs have gone out, and there is a few of you that have tattooing. Leave your tint on a little bit longer, maybe do the 2 to 3 minutes, okay? If you want to time it on your phone or, and just because you want your brows a bit darker, because when that tattoo fades, you're going to try and cover it to make it look fresh again, and you need them as dark as possible. So a little bit longer for you guys is probably better, okay? So once you've wiped it, you just need to do a couple of wipes with some water, it's fine. Feel you got a bit of tint around the edges, dip a clean cotton round in some water and just clean up the edges. And I'm gonna clean the other one off now. Bring off the water. Do it as firmly as possible, so you really grab all the tint. Now, the thing is, I only use water to remove it. I don't cleanse my skin straight after. I leave the tint in there, and then if you're doing this before a shower, it's fine. Otherwise, maybe cleanse, like just with water, maybe cleanse your skin a couple of hours after you tint, or even the next day. But even if you do this an hour or two before you shower, and then before you go to bed, cleanse your face, because I like the tint to sit in there. Even though you've removed majority of it, you haven't actually cleansed your skin, so it's still slightly activating. And it just really gives you longevity out of the tint, so it will last you 2 to 3 weeks instead of fading in a couple days. Now, if you have less hair, the tint doesn't take, the tint still takes, but it doesn't last because it's tint colours hair, not skin as such. Like, it will tint your skin for a few days, but it won't last. It only lasts on the hair. So if you feel that you've got patches and your brows don't have a lot of hair, this is where you will love using the brow powder, because the tint's going to help give your eyebrows a full look, give the illusion that the gaps are covered. But if they still bother you, I want you to use your angle brush and your powder. The only downside to this is it's great, it looks very natural. I love using a powder, I never use a pencil, it looks more natural. But when you wash your face, it washes off. Whereas with your tint, it's going to last and give you more longevity than the powder will. It's just a makeup. So once you've removed your tint, if you feel that there's a few patches that you think, oh, I want them to be a bit darker, or I want it to grab a bit here, wherever it is, I want you to grab your tint applicator and scrape every bit of tint out of this and put it on that gap and leave it for another minute, okay? Let it sit there for a minute and then wash it off with the water, wipe it, okay? But yes, once you've wiped it, if you want to reapply, you can. If you feel you want them darker, just put it back on there and let it sit there for another minute or two. So, super natural brows, I'm going to say 1 minute. If you feel like you want them super dark, if you've got tattooing, 3 minutes, let your tint sit on there, the darker the better. If you have very sparse hair, 2 to 3 minutes as well, because you want it to grab as many hairs as possible. Only if your brows are quite thick and you're just trying to touch them up and fill them would you, put them on, take it off quite quickly. Okay, so with your brow powder, I'm not actually going to open that one because it's got to go in someone's kit, but I have a brow brush that's slanted, and that's what you guys are going to get in your brow powder. So always use a slanted brush when doing your brows, because if you use anything like just a standard makeup brush, it's not going to give definition, it's just going to look full, but it won't necessarily it'll look messy, it won't give definition. So always use a slanted brush. Now once you apply it on your powder, I want you to just stroke the slanted brush back and forth on the matte powder and just give it a little tap just to get rid of any residue. Now, I don't want you to press really hard, you're just feathering the dust. And brush it upwards at the front. And if there's a gap that you're after to fill, press a little harder on that gap. Once you've shaded your brows in, always afterwards I get the brow brush and I comb it after. Now all that does is it just helps to blend the powder so it doesn't look like you've shaded it in. It makes it look like hair, it makes it look a lot real. It doesn't look like you've put makeup into your brows. And it also just helps the brow dust to settle into where you want it to go. Now your brows are always going to look quite dark when you first do them, and the first day they always look darker. Some people love that. Me personally, I like them to look a little bit more natural. I love my brows like this now, they look good, but I'll love them better in 2 days' time. I always like them to look a little bit more natural, not too strong. I do like my brows darker than my hair. My roots are quite dark, but when my hair's down, the bottom of it's quite light. I've got blonde highlights in it. But in saying that, blonde hair, I still like dark brows, but I always like my brows a day or two after I've tinted them. So you may be the same as well, or if you like them dark, you may love them straight away, which is great. But it's always better to tint them slightly darker so that it lasts you a bit longer. So don't think that what you've got right this second will be like this in 3 days. It's going to just settle a bit when you cleanse your skin, and you'll probably love them if you feel like they look a bit dark. If you don't, enjoy them. They look good. So if you have some tweezers handy, I think the best thing to do to maintain your brows so you don't feel like they look messy, and sometimes once you start tweezing a little bit, you get a bit tweeze happy, and you don't want to take any hairs that you shouldn't be taking. You don't want to ruin your shape. Once your salons are open, your therapist can get back to shaping your brows. Leave it to them to wax them the way they should be. But absolutely, I think you should tweeze the middle. It keeps the brows clean, it keeps them separated. If you're tinting and shading them, it keeps them neat, because when you have lots of hair in the middle, and even blonde ones, even if they're not dark, when you go to put brow powder, or even if you put a bit of tint elsewhere, it grabs and it starts to look messy. It doesn't look defined and neat. So I'm all for tweezing the middle. All you need to do is, with your brow brush, put it right next to your nose, and any hair on the outside of this brush is what you can take off. Anything on the inside, I want you to leave, because you always want your brow to start right at the front of your eye. And then the same thing, measure this one, and then any hair here, tweeze it all out. Tweeze, 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 tweeze. Get as much as you can of it out. I obviously just tweezed them in the previous one. Sorry about that. But yeah, tweeze the middle so it's nice and clean. Try and leave under here. If you really have some dark ones quite low underneath your brow bone, you can start to tweeze them out. But if not, leave them if they're quite light. If they're dark, try and take some, but don't go too close to your shape. That's where the pawpaw and the Vaseline, making sure that you're only tinting the shape, not everywhere. Because if you don't clean up afterwards and you let, your eyebrows are hairy at the moment, and you let the tint colour any hair that you may have here, it's going to look quite messy. It's always good to tint and wax afterwards to get rid of all those ones. So you don't want to tint them. So it's really important, as soon as you either put Vaseline on them, or nappy rash or pawpaw cream so they don't colour, or as soon as you applied your tint, remember to just wet it and remove any excess tint on those hairs. You want them to stay the way they are. You don't want to make them any darker than what we're about to make them. Okay, and that's it. So I hope you enjoy your brows. The brow pad is great for you to use once your tint starts to fade. I guess you can start to use it about 2 week mark, the first 2 weeks you probably won't need to use it unless you have gaps where there's no hair. The tint won't tint cover won't tint the skin and won't cover those gaps. It will a little bit, but the brow powder is great there to make it perfect. So yeah, if you have any questions, definitely reach out to me. You know how to find me. And if you guys need more tint in 3 weeks time, let me know. We can do tint only and send that out to you so you can touch up your brows once a month. You won't need a brow powder, it's going to last you so long. But yeah, definitely let me know if you guys want more tint and activator, and I can send out a fresh kit for you. Good luck!